This week's edition of Sunday Sitdown brought to you by Cutshaw Chevrolet in Grapeland.
I've been preaching for 25 years this year. This September, I will have been in ministry 25 years. I've been at Bethel Baptist Church here in Crockett for 7 months.
Okay.
Hasn't been long at all. 7 months. I've been in pastoral ministry for over 15 years.
How's it going here at Bethel, I guess?
Bethel is a great place to be. It has been magnanimous for me since my inception of coming into Crockett and being called a pastor. It's been great as a pastor. Everyone says, well, you're enjoying the honeymoon phase. Well, I pray each day that the honeymoon never ends.
Right.
We've had an influx of members who have returned home that were just not in church, still members, but they're coming in. And God has been adding to the flock as He sees fit.
That's good.
Every Sunday since I've been here, someone has walked down the aisle.
Oh, that's great.
It's been great.
When did you first feel the calling to become a pastor or a preacher?
Oh, wow. I began preaching at the age of 14.
Really?
In 1997,
Okay.
I was called into the gospel ministry. I was at home. And it's funny because I was minding my own business and I kept, it's like the Bible says, the prophet came out the room saying, Mom, did you call me? When it wasn't Mama, that's what I did. Huh? Did you call me? No, I ain't call you. Went back to the room. Said, somebody's calling me. And I had a conversation with my grandfather, who rests now. And I said, Daddy, you know, I kept hearing somebody call me, but my mama said it wasn't her. He told me to go pray. My grandfather was a deacon. He was chairman of finance at our home church for some 32 years. And I said, well, let me talk to the preacher, my father who's a pastor as well. And I talked with him. I said, Daddy, listen, I was at home the other night and I kept thinking my mother was calling me, but it wasn't. I said, I need to know what's going on. There is a desire, there's a burning, but I never wanted to be a preacher because everybody said, oh, your dad's a preacher, so you're going to be a preacher, you know. So they just
Kids have to rebel.
yeah.
Sure.
So I'm like, well, let me go and see. And he said, pray, 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 and pray. And that's what I did. I found myself enamored with prayer, engaged in it to the point to where I fell in love with it, because that was my only outlet to talk to God about what was going on. At that time, one of my biggest supporters, my aunt, had gone missing. And she had been missing for over 60 days during the season. We didn't know where she was. We hadn't heard from her. There was no trace. You know, you have breadcrumbs around that could tell us where she was or where she had been. There was none of that. And so in the midst of me praying about me, I was praying that God send our family an answer. And so I said, God, I need to know, are you calling me somewhere? I don't want to go anywhere on my own, because if I go on my own, I'll fail. And so during that course, he definitely answered me. And I went back to my father and said, hey, this is what the Lord said. He said, okay, we're going to sit you down. You're not running to the pulpit. You won't even get there first. You won't even get there yet, actually. We'll sit you down, we'll do some training with you. And you're still going to be praying. But I want to make sure that this is the right thing for you to do. And then in the course of me telling him what God said, and then I went to God another time and I asked him, I said, God, our family's hurting. We need an answer. We need to know where my aunt is. And me and my grandmother was praying, and a few of my cousins were praying. And he answered. It wasn't the answer that we wanted, but he brought her home. Yeah. And he brought her home to be with him, and we got a chance to memorialize her. Yeah. And then 2 months after that, I ended up preaching my first sermon. And I've been preaching ever since. In September, we'll celebrate 25 years of preaching the gospel ministry.
It's not always the answer we want, but he always answers.
Yeah.
Well, 25 years, that's a long time. What would you say, if anything, is the hardest part of being a pastor?
Preaching has always been easy. That's the easiest part of ministry. The hardest part, for me, I can't speak for every pastor, because after preaching, and if God sees fit to place you as pastor, it's an extra weight of glory that he gives you. But what I have discovered in ministry for me, the hardest thing for me is funerals. It's not so much as the person that we're saying goodnight to. It's those that are on that front row, those that are on second and third row. It's hard to see them mourn. It's hard to see them cry. It's hard to see them wrestle with all of the questions. Why my mother? Why my father? Why my sister? Why my brother? Why my child? Whatever the question may be, why? And you're sitting there and you're supposed to be giving encouragement for them to move past this moment. And then you remember there was a time when you sat on that front row. So you totally understand. And I know most people, they're more spiritual than I am, and say, as the pastor, you should have a better ready answer for those that mourn. But in our human flesh, it's hard to deal with that. Some people are stronger than others. And at one point in my life, I considered myself to be strong. But in the course of 2 years, I lost all of my grandparents. I lost 2 aunts. And I ended up preaching 3 of those services. And in the midst of preaching, I was hurting.
Yeah.
And coming off of those services, I hit a brick wall. Yeah. I felt depleted. And so I understand that mourning is a serious part of ministry, and helping individuals through it is a major task for us as pastors. My wife was recently taking a class, and I was nosy in one of the books that they had assigned to her. And I took the book, and I read it, and it actually helped me where I was, but it also better equipped me to help those that are mourning, help me as a pastor be a better pastor, especially in that particular part of ministry, because it's heavy. Pastors deal with family members, they deal with members of the congregation as well, and that's even heavier.
Well, take it to the other side then. What would you say has been, over this many years, your favorite part of being a preacher?
Watching new converts and Christians grow. Watching them learn something they have never learned before, or hearing something explained that we've heard in church over the years, and they like, well, I hear it all the time, I think I got it. But when they really get it, and they start applying it to their life, and they start seeing the fruits from it, it's amazing. And then on top of that, to watch our young people have a yearning to, I want to learn it too. I want to be better tomorrow than I was today. So watching them grow and seeing them come forth, it's beautiful for me.
Now, 8 months is maybe barely enough time to get yourself settled in, but do you have right now, either for yourself or for the church, a sort of goal, a mission that you're currently working on?
Currently, here at the church, it's twofold. I'm working from the inside out. Okay. We are doing a lot of in-house work. We're streamlining all of our ministries and preparing all of our leaders to lead not only within, but also without. My goal has been, in every place that I go, to leave a place better than it was when I came. And I'm out front. I love the community. I love what the church is to the community and to the city. And so I haven't had a lot of time to meet a lot of people, but those people that I have had the opportunity to engage with, I've let them know that anything that I can do individually and collectively with the church at large. We're here for that. So I like to engage with community activities and engage with community leaders, and I stay in my vein. I'm not a politician, I'm a preacher. So I just want to help build the kingdom in every aspect that I'm supposed to, and help build our city in every aspect that we can. Because the church is an integral part of our city, and I want to make sure that we play that active part.
And that leads me into another question I have, actually, is like, for example, I first knew about you at the July 4th parade downtown, where you offered a prayer before we almost got rained out.
That's right.
Obviously Crockett specifically, but probably the surrounding areas as well. What does this community mean specifically, personally to you?
I see hope. And so to me, it means the world to me. If there is a community member that's hurting, I take on that hurt. And sometimes people say, you shouldn't take on that. Well, we should all feel the effects of it. The biggest thing that I experienced when I first got here was the tornado.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Right.
And I was here. I had just arrived. And that was the...
Welcome to Crockett.
Right. Exactly. We walk into a tragic event, but it was a moment for us to show the church, and I'm not just talking about Bethel, I'm talking about the church at large, show the church strong, show that the body of believers are strong. Let's help where we can help, do what we can do. No big eyes, no little U's, just whatever you can do. Let's bring to the table and be actively involved with our neighbors, our brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter. And that's where I am. Wherever we can help in this community, that's where I want to be, on the front lines with it. If they're crying, we're going to cry together. I'm going to bring some tissue. We're going to cry. We're going to wipe our tears. We're going to get up. We're going to live to fight another day.
That's great. That's great. Pastor, I got a couple kind of philosophical questions
Gotcha.
for you.
Okay.
What do you think God wants from all of us, and sort of each and every one of us? What do you think He wants from us?
I totally believe that He wants unity from us. And I know most people are like, well, he wants us to be saved. Well, everybody won't be saved. That is a truth. But He does want us in unity. As a matter of fact, Scripture teaches us, as much as possible, live peaceably among all men. So He wants us to find a common denominator where we can all get together and we can agree and still get the job done.
Yeah.
We may not agree on everything, but we ought to be able to agree at least on one thing. And whatever that one thing is, it will unify us and bring us together where we can help anyone and everyone.
You hear a lot these days about there's not enough young people in church, there's not enough young people involved. Well, first of all, do you consider that an issue? And if so, what do you think can be done to get more young people back in church?
It's not enough people in church, period.
Amen.
If I start with an age demographic by saying there's not enough young people, there have never been enough young people in church, because no one takes the time to understand young people.
Okay.
A philosophy that I have been using over the past maybe 9 years, especially 9 years, is that our young people are faced with things that we have never been faced with.
Yeah.
Technology has grown so fast, and there are so many avenues for them to connect to the world. When I was growing up, if you wanted to play with your friends on a video game, you had to spend the night, walk around the corner, or do something. Now you can have Wi-Fi at home connected to the video game. You're in Texas, you're playing someone in South Asia, and you don't know who you're playing with. And so here we are with this conundrum, if you would, of how do we get young people engaged in church when their world is constantly progressing, but it seems like the church is standing still. You have the ability to talk to someone in Asia, Africa, North Carolina, South Carolina, wherever, in a drop of just connecting. And then we come to church, and the church is just as behind as the Nintendo, the OES system. So it becomes a point to where you engage the young people where they are. And that's where we are here at the Bethel Church. We're engaging our young people where they are. Show them that you care. If you show a person that you care, they'll come. Even if you haven't got to where they are at home, they'll come. As long as you show them that you care, and you cannot have a falsehood in your care. It has to be genuine. Don't ask me how I'm doing, and you really don't want to know. So,
Well, hey, if it's working, don't give the secret.
so
Now, I know there's probably going to be hundreds, and it varies by situation, but is there a certain passage or a story in the Bible that has a special meaning to you or gives you motivation when you need that or something you can point to that helps you?
for the longest, I would lean in on the book of Luke. Luke was my favorite writer. Over the past few years, though, Psalm 23 has meant more to me than anything in the world. Even the first verse is packed with lots of power. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. It takes me from feeling down to being uplifted instantaneously, because I know that when I feel alone, I'm never alone. Throughout the course of that entire poetic passage, he shows us continuously, I'll provide for you, I'll sustain you, I'll pleasure you, I'll protect you, and then I'll give you something so that even after you have laid down in the green pastures, even after you sat at the table in the presence of your enemies, after you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, here's the promise I'll make to you. Surely goodness and mercy is going to follow you all the days of your life. And that helps me all the way. Nothing bothers me to the point that will not lift me up. That's not the only place, but if I need something that's quick, that's going to remind me how faithful he is to us and how he won't let us down, even when we let him down, I run straight to it, and it gives me exactly what I need.
Last couple of questions. One is, does that one walk that every man must take at the end of his life? When you come face to face with God, have you ever thought about what you might want to say to him, a question you would ask?
Oh, a long time ago, I was under the belief that we shouldn't question God until I lost my grandparents. And at the cusp of everything that was happening for me, graduating and finishing seminary, and then God allowing elevation to this church here in Crockett, and my grandparents, along with my biological parents, were able to be at every place with me. And then I get here and I feel alone because they're absent. They can't be here with me. And every human that has a heart and they have someone that they love dearly, they want them to be in those special moments with them. And I always said, Lord, why them? And if there was a question that I had for him, it would be, you let him miss that moment with me. And it just takes your breath away, takes your heart away, because you love so, and they love you so, and you spent time with them in life, and you want them to see every achievement, because every person has family members or people around them that's seeing their failures. And you see me when I didn't look so good and when the lights were not shining, but when the lights are on and you're brushed off and cleaned up, you want people that really matter to be there with you. And it's one of those moments, and I just, it was a joyous occasion. It was a wonderful occasion. I couldn't have asked for a better reception here at this city on that day. And our members were so gracious, and they loved on us, and they're still loving on us. But everyone has that one wish. And walking in, I looked around, and just knowing that they weren't able to be there, I just looked around. It still was rough. Yeah, that's exactly what my wife said. She said, they were looking down on you. I said, looking down and standing there watching me, two totally different things. Yeah, man. So
last question. Somebody watching this video who has not been to your church, maybe never even heard of it. Maybe they've never heard a good word. Maybe they just haven't been to church in 20 years, whatever. What would you say to them to get them to come down and visit y'all and enjoy worship?
that was a phrase we used at a church that I served at under Bishop Jeffrey D. Thomas. We were in worship one Sunday, and people had came down, and I forgot the lady that said she had been coming, and I said, if you keep coming, you get caught. But now I say, if you come one time, I promise you, you won't want to miss another time. Not that I have become some great mainstream preacher. No, the love that is shown in this congregation, we are not race specific. We're not people specific. We just want to love people. And I believe God has given me a message that is tailor specific to aid people in every aspect of their life. And if you're afraid of church, I want to be the one to help you not afraid anymore. If you've been hurt by the church, I want you to come here so you can know that the church still loves you and you won't have to be hurt again. No, we're not a perfect church, but we are a place where you will feel the love of God and his leaders will love on you.